hiccups.
Yeah. So who betrayed who?
Yeah, who betrayed?
For a while there, ilikuwa awesome, by the way.
Well,
For how long before the...
we don't know.
Sina time.
Because you see, what used to happen was when, as I was saying, when God has defined to you what your purpose is, even in life, before we even talk about marriage, the devil tries to fight that purpose happening.
Yeah.
So, so for us, me trying to fulfill my purpose in the kingdom of God was being fought by different attacks altogether. Now, our marriage, the purpose of our marriage had been defined by God way before we even came together, and it was supposed to cause this huge shake-up in the kingdom of hell. So the devil really tried to fight us coming together, hence the whole hiccups of ati kuambiwa sio huyu ni huyu, but then God always wins, and he won. So when now we got into marriage, the easiest way in which the devil could bring down our marriage was creating insecurity. And so that there is no more that unity where you're praying together, where you're going to prayer center together, and where you're ministering together. So after a period of a while, he encouraged the devil to use him in form of flirting a lot, and I didn't like it at all. I think you should continue from there.
Why were you flirting? Answer the question. Why?
Why? Why? I got to a point I began to take her for granted. And see, when you start to take someone or something for granted, they lose the value. They don't have value. They no longer mean what they used to mean. So you do not really care about them and what happens. So at that point, taking her for granted. She's here, she's home.
She's not going anywhere.
Yeah, she's not going anywhere. That is taking someone for granted. That was number one. See, the devil is, and let us get this straight. I am not blaming the devil. It is squarely on me.
Isio shetani.
Isi ile mtu anasema ilikuwa shetani. Isio ilikuwa shetani. The thing is, before you fike shetani, you must have opened the door, created a crack somewhere to come in.
Played the
and
part.
the thing is,
and
when
it's not just sorry to cut you short, and it's not just when it comes to marriage. In everything you do in life, the devil will only come in because you have chosen
To let him in.
Let him in. So if you've decided to be a thief, you thought about it. He just came and enabled that ill thought that you had. So that's what he's saying. He's not blaming the devil, but the fact that he thought it, he opened that door. Na yeye shetani akakuja na jeshi yake yote.
The devil enabled me in certain behaviors. I took her for granted, resulting in disrespect. See, when you allow the devil in, akujangi na hiyo ango peke yake yenye unafikiria. He comes with everything and I'm moving in.
True.
Now when he moved in, this is what he came with. You're a man. You married man, you have a wife there, you do what you want. Your wife can't tell you a damn thing. By the way, as a matter of fact, I had this belief, this mantra, that I do not conform to the status quo of the society.
It is mother.
Society dictates I should have one wife, one woman. I do not subscribe to that school of thought.
I'm a man.
Yes, I can do whatever. By the way, that is very true. And
actually, that was it.
And when you do that, and maybe sinilipatia the devil the opportunity, he came. See the way we say God moved in a mighty way. The devil moved in a mighty way, and that is not a lie.
I wish people would understand that the same way in which, the same intensity in which God intends to move, the devil also doubles that effort because he knows he's going to lose. If God decides to snap his fingers, the devil anashindo. So he ends up putting more effort than what it may seem like God is not putting effort. So if he has God has decided that I'm going to use you in this particular way, the devil will put in a lot of effort
To make
to
sure.
bring you down, to ensure that you're not used of God
True.
in that particular way.
True.
So that is what happened in my marriage.
So
And that is where disloyalty. That is
Yeah.
how I became
Yeah.
disloyal.
And that was the beginning of my problem.
and how was it for you?
It was very traumatic,
Uh-huh.
very traumatic. Like I said, I think out of nature,
Mm-hmm.
just the person I am not confrontational.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever a time where I actually confronted it.
Even if you knew it.
I'll know, I'll mention it, I'll actually give hints. I know. But then because I'm not confronting, to
You let
him,
it slide.
Yeah, no, to him, it didn't happen.
Not letting it slide.
Uh-huh.
The fact that she's not called it out. You see,
Right.
when I know you're a liar and I call you out as a liar,
It'll
Yeah.
change.
there's, I know you lie.
Yeah.
So she would not call me out as a cheat. She would not call me out as flirting, flirtatious, or anything.
Mhm.
Instead, she would just say hints that
Yeah.
I know something is going on,
Mhm.
but she's not telling me
Exactly.
outrightly that this
Yeah.
is going on.
Yeah.
And because of that, I took that to be, she just suspects. All I need to do is now to send
Cover
her
up.
off the scent,
Yeah.
cover up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now this is back to what I told you the purpose of my marriage was. Being soaked in Christ, He reveals things even before they come. So for me, I would know before it even happens.
Hey.
So instead of fighting him, I would go back to God. And I thank God that I had my dad, his name is Pastor Godfrey, who really, really held my hand.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't even ask a question. And mark you, I never changed as a wife towards him.
Even your attitude.
No. You want me to serve you, I'll serve you. You want me to warm your water for you, I will. As a matter of fact, I just recently told my mom, I haven't told my dad. I recently told my mom and my brother what I've been through, and I would see the shock on their faces because the life they knew I was living, and now what I'm telling them I was living, it's not adding up.
Yeah.
Because I never changed my attitude towards him at all. However, that is very dangerous, and I wish I never kept quiet. I wish I spoke it out, because now it started creating a wound in me
Yeah.
that now led to me being mentally ill. Now, when I speak of mental illness, ukisema mentally, exactly. When you say of mental illness, people tend to think madhare kind, and you're in a place umefungiwa. No. Mental illness is that state where you're not able to function 100% normally like a normal person.
Yeah.
So it could be anxiety, you get panic attacks a lot. It could be you tend to overthink, you tend to zone out. All these things are attributes of mental illness.
Yeah.
You're just actually not 100% okay. So with every experience that came, it created trauma. I'm not dealing with it. As a matter of fact, I got to a place where I'm now living it. Ile ya, oh well, hata change. Na hata sipo. Ni sawa, mi bora I'm happy. See this thing you see women in Facebook saying, ni bora anarudi kwangu. I now don't take it lightly. Because now I know there is a lot that is being hidden in that statement.
Yeah.
Because I was in that level where I used to say, at the end of the day, he's nice to me.
So at no point did you ever get violent?
No.
Or
No.
No.
See,
verbally?
no, it was just infidelity.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was just flattery
Mhm.
out there. You see, people argue that for it to be cheating, I need to have slept with someone.
Mhm.
Even flirting
Yeah,
in
true.
itself, that is cheating.
Mm.
There is something that people say, and mostly it's ladies that do say that statement. Mi mwanaume hawezi nifanya hivyo. I walk away. You see, that is not a bad thought to have. It is. There's again another statement. I want to combine the two of them. That Christians kwanza ndio tuna believe hivyo. Yeah, you gotta make your marriage work. You hang in there. No, don't. Don't. See, the thing is this: when someone becomes disloyal, you do not have any reason to be attached to them. That is for a fact. For you to be attached to them, they need to prove to you otherwise.
Yeah, true.
And that is dependent on you 100%. If you give them another chance, or not.
So did you at least be like, no, you're not confronting him. You're sick now, like mentally and
I actually didn't know I was sick until 2019. But it's
So
something
you've
that
just been-
started. Yeah.
Yeah, you just pile them up. You pile them up.
in the inside. Did you ever leave? Did you ever think of leaving?
No,
You stayed.
let me tell you,
Uh-huh.
today I look back and I'm like, what was wrong with me?
Yeah.
I'm actually going to ask
Yes,
you that question. What was wrong with you?
I ask myself that question over and over again, what was wrong with me? But then now in hindsight, when I look back and now knowing the true purpose of God in my life and what the devil was fighting,
Yeah.
the only thing I can say it's God who made me stay.
Wow, yeah.
Because the one time I went and told my mom, she prayed with me and she told me, you know what, protect your heart and stay because God put you together for a reason. And that took me a long way. Not that she forced me to stay, but she gave me the answer I was looking for,
Yeah.
that God is in this.
Yeah.
So when all these things would happen, I would just turn to God. But I realized now with time, I started withdrawing from people because I don't want to share my problem. And I know they're definitely going to tell me, Mrs. Vanyevo, Mimi natoka. And I honestly don't have the heart to leave, not the guts. There's a difference between wanting to leave, but you cannot leave. And there's that, your mindset is not there at all. You actually want to see this work. So I started avoiding people. And he noticed, he knew, but he couldn't ask, like, what's up? Because now we're living this life where it's like, I'm living my life, he's living his life, but to keep
Another
a sitting room, we are awesome, we are, yeah.
Wow.
But you see, in marriage, two things. These are two people coming together, and they're both looking for different things.
Yeah.
For us as women, we are actually just looking for security. And that is why you find where you feel the most secure, that's where you settle.
Yeah.
If you're looking for financial stability and that is what you've gotten, that's where you'll settle.
True.
If you're looking for emotional security and that's where you found that security, that's where you'll settle. If it's a person who's grown up with daddy issues and has found a guy who's treating her with all the love and anafanyana feel secure, that is where that girl will settle.
True.
Now for men, they come looking for that emotional connection. A woman who will make him feel at peace, a woman who will make him feel happy, and as he's able to be himself.
Yeah.
That is where you find most men will come looking for support in terms of business from their women. If they don't get it, they go out there in the name of ninaenda kwa club kuchill na my boys, but really they're actually going to nurse a wound that has already been created because from home you didn't get that support.
Yeah.
So I came into this relationship looking for security. And for me, it wasn't even anything financial or anything because man tulala chini for a while. But for me, I was looking for that faithfulness because even in my previous relationship, I had been cheated on. So I was looking for someone who's going to be faithful to me. Now I'm married, and I realize now that I'm married, this guy is not going to give me that. It's like it's the same story repeating itself. But this time round, I just can't walk away and nisahau your story.
Yeah, because this is marriage.
This is marriage.
Yeah.
So nilianza kuvumilia and settling for, every man. You see this statement we say, every man cheats, every man is a dog. I started believing that because I'm living it. And if every man cheats and women are out there staying in marriages up to 30 years, then why would I walk away? But then now the unfortunate bit about that, it created trauma in me. Trauma that now that I've been going through counseling, my therapist told me that infidelity trauma is the worst kind of trauma next to losing a loved one. Losing a loved one is top. Like you lose your wife, you lose your husband, you lose your child. That is the kind of trauma that some people are unable to deal with.
Yeah.
Even you as a normal person, it's quite traumatic.
Yeah.
But now infidelity kind of trauma is also very bad. It's second to death kind of trauma. The reason being because it's a part of you that you had so much hope in that has been broken.
Yeah.
If I was feeling secure in this manner and now I'm no longer feeling secure, I'm living that fear every day.
Yeah.
Let me just make it a bit simpler so that you understand. It's like we all know rape is a bad thing. That is the easiest thing that we can relate with. Or even worse, being abused. So it's like living knowing that daily umse atakuja ni chape, but you're living it. Now imagine that kind of life is what infidelity does to someone. So that is how I was living every day.
Wow. And you noticed that she was withdrawing, and maybe you didn't ask, but at what point did you sit yourself down, like the way you did? You remember when you were with God?
Yes.
When you said, if you heal me,
Yeah,
I'll
I'm
serve
committed.
you. Now, when did you sit yourself down and be like, Manzi, I'm not doing the right thing. I need to change. Ama, did she confront you? Or what happened? Then you were like, nah.
Let me take you on a journey to that point very briefly. One, there are two things that happen. There are two things that fight at war here, that contest. Godliness and ungodliness, or unrighteousness, light and dark.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about marriage, whether people like it or not, we're talking about a godly institution.
Yeah.
This institution is founded on godliness, and godliness is the only thing that will sustain it. Now, the outcome is a godly generation. Now, when ungodliness comes in, anything that is not godly, cheating, lying, violence, hatred, jealous, anything creeps in. It begins, it's like darkness inaanza ku creep in. Na inaanza ku cloud huyo mse. Mwenye ndio amefungua mlango. So the bottom line is this. When in your life, when you feel that, hey, whatever is happening is wrong, ulifungulia mlango at one point. If it's in a marriage, someone got into a deal with the devil. It may not be a deal, devil, I'm selling my soul here. It may not be a contract, but you entertain the devil. That is what I'm talking about here. And then anaanza ku cloud na darkness. Anaanza ku blind, and you don't see anything. The same way when now you entertain godliness, he opens your eyes, your light. I mean, things happen in. So those two forces are at work here. So in my marriage, what happened at one point, I was blinded. Sioni, as a matter of fact, me naona na behave hivyo. I'm like, ni mbaya nawe? I am the cause, but I'm asking, nini mbaya na wewe? But so that is what happens. When did I call myself to a meeting?
Let me tell you. Well, in 2019, I think I was at my worst, because that is when now I cracked. After all the pressure from 2015 all the way to 2019, that is when I think I crashed completely. I started getting into moments where, for like an hour or two, I can't tell what I did. Really, I cannot even. You're coming to tell me you were cooking or you were cleaning, and I'm like, no, I was asleep. So it got so bad that I now had to tell someone. So I spoke to a friend of mine, and he told me, yo, go to hospital. So he directed me to an institute in Westlands. I went, and after a lot of series of tests, they diagnosed me with very severe depression. But really, I wasn't depressed. I was just giving symptoms of somebody who's severely depressed. So I was put on medication. For a while, I'm okay. But then again, I'm not okay. So my parents had to know. I think at that point, that when was the first time he opened up to my dad, because now he realized, okay, this is my fault. I need to go face my in-laws and tell them, and I've messed up. So he went, told my dad, Kajishtaki. He went, told my dad.
Wait, and you knew she's a daddy's girl?
Yes.
And you're going to her dad to say, I cheated.
Yes, that is why he was going to tell my dad.
Oh my God.
I have screwed up your daughter.
It
is me who was messed up.
Well, I think my dad at that point, the Spirit of God took over, and he did not handle him as a dad and handled him as a pastor. Because from then, he got very much involved in my life. My mom as well. My brother, I think, at some point moved in with us, because his work was very flexible. He could work from home. This guy has to go to work. And we cannot trust my house help or my nannies to actually be able to take care of me. So my brother was constantly at home. And then I was on these pills that I think I would sleep 20 hours in a day. Yeah. Because I had gone for about a month without sleep. I'm not sleeping at all. So that's how I ended up crashing, because now my body is tired, my brain is tired. So these blackout moments is my brain trying to find some sort of rest, because I'm not resting. Well, that happened from November 2019. I started seeing a therapist. I'm on this medication. I'm constantly asleep. And then now, February, I don't even know why I thought of changing my doctor. And when I went to see another doctor, I was done an evaluation test, and I was told, "You're cool. Stop taking your meds." Worst mistake ever. So I stayed. COVID happened. He lost his job, so we are now all home. My brother, he's around. I was okay up to around, I think, again sometime in June. I succumbed again. And you know, we had now known the symptoms. I never would get hysterical. You know the stories you hear, Timto anachapana or anything. Actually, my symptoms was me being told, tulikuwa pamoja. And I'm like,
not seeing you today.
Dissociative amnesia is what they call it.
And then the worst bit is I created this best friend in my head to open up to, because that was my biggest problem. I couldn't even tell my own brother, and we are tight, that I'm going through this and this and this. So I created a best friend whom I would open up to. And coincidentally, every time I saw him, I would see him as my best friend. So I would go vent to him about everything I've been through.
But as a different person.
Yeah. And that is when he actually knew, wait, this chick knew all along. Like everything I did, she knew all along.
Okay, did it like hit you hard and you're like, okay?
Hard. It turned me inside out. I mean, there's this confidence that I had.
Yeah.
That, well, she's not sure. She does not know a thing. I mean, whatever bone I'm throwing her way, she's taking and swallowing. And then she gets to this point where she's opening up and telling me, see, my husband does this and this and this and this. She actually thinks I don't know.
Wait, so you used to tell him?
Yeah, he's this best friend. I've created this best friend in my head.
Okay, you didn't tell him, like, no. I know you're doing. You said, my husband does.
Yes.
Yes, she saw I was.
Crazy.
He would come and tell me, you know, we spoke yesterday. I'm like, no, me, I went to bed. But I went to bed at 9 and we spoke up to 1. And I have no idea I was speaking to him.
Wow.
I have even been put under machines so that they can try and understand what happens at this period, and nothing. So my therapist is the one who actually said, no, her biggest issue is not even depression, it was trauma, and she was looking for a way out. So she created this person so that she can have a way out.
So when you were talking to him and telling him the stuff, you were seeing a best friend.
Yeah.
It wasn't
a very different, a very short, round person.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And so at this time now, you were like, okay, so she knew.
Now, initially, in the early stages of these conversations, I would get very angry because I've been busted.
Yeah.
So angry, the first reaction is I need to be defensive. No, he cannot, he does not, he's not doing that. What you're thinking is maybe in your own head. But then later on with time, you see, when you have not accepted the mistake that you've done, you will deny, you will fight tooth and nail to make sure you're safe, you're in your safe space. But accepting your mistake, it means whatever comes my way, I did a mistake. Yeah. So I said yes. So it was, that is wrong. So I began to listen and just listening and not saying a damn thing. That was my beginning of learning to listen. I would listen. She would talk, cry, give her face towels. Napkins were not enough. The tissues were not enough. So give her face towels, wipe her tears, cry.
Were her tears hurting you?
Yes, that is the one thing that I never. I had built mechanisms to deal with anything, her words, whatever she says, but there's one thing that till now I cannot stand. It breaks me. Her tears. Hata kama ni mtu mwingine amemhurt. Ama mtu amekufa and she's crying. At one point na freezing, I don't know what to do. And then I know what to do, but I don't know how to act. I mean, and then if it's my mistake, guilt consumes me. So yeah, she would cry a lot, and those instances, I would go into a board meeting. There are some people up here, we go into a meeting. Yo, emergency board meeting, what's happening? You, Enoch, why are you doing this? You need to stop. And indeed, I stopped for a couple of days.
Then again.
Or hours. Then again, I forget the commitment.
Yeah.
I comment the severity of the issues at hand. That, as I told you, I had this tendency of where a mistake has happened, I'll just go back there and pick things up and want to continue.
Yeah.
I forget that reformation needs to happen.
Yeah.
It needs to be what we call repentance, turning around completely, 360. It needs
180.
360. Oh yes, 180. 360 is going back to the same direction. 180. It needs to be driven with a point of where whatever I'm doing, it needs to be out of faithfulness to my woman, faithfulness to God, and 100% true to myself. If those three things are not factored in, you're lying to yourself.
So did it ever affect your ministry? Like you, or maybe at this time now, you already had kids, right?
Yes.
Did it ever affect the way you related to your kids? You know, were you...
Me being sick?
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
It did a lot.
I remember it got to a place, we tried hiding it from our daughter because I was constantly crying. I'm always in my bedroom. So she would constantly ask, mbona mami yako bedroom? And then when she comes, she finds me crying, so she goes back shouting to everybody, mami analia.
Yeah.
So we tried hiding it until one day my therapist told me, don't. She may be your source of comfort. And true, for the very longest time, she was my source of comfort. Now I started relying on her when I'm feeling anxious and like I'm panicking. I just want to hold her. And you know, kids are patient.
Yeah.
I remember there are very many instances. She has actually gotten me a face towel the way she sees her daddy do it. Because mommy is broken and mommy is crying. And it's something, I wouldn't want to put that burden on a child. But then unfortunately she had to go through that.
Yeah.
And it was very sad, her seeing mom cry. It's so bad that even today, my dad and mom know. And they are quick to look at her. But even if I'm praying and I cry, she freezes. She will let go of whatever it is she was doing and she will just want to come and hug mommy. So now you have to keep on telling her,
I'm okay.
Mommy is praying.
Yeah.
And you know, a 4-year-old having to go through that, a 4-year-old having to know what pain is, even if it's not her own, it's not proper. It's not, I feel like we scarred her, but then it's not something we could have avoided. And I wish people would know that whatever thing happens in marriage, a child sees and they get it. And that is why you will find sometimes, especially whoever is wronging the family, observe a child when there's crisis. You can easily be able to tell who's the wrong one and who's the right one. Because in times of crisis, that child will tend to run to the one who's always right. So for instance, in our case, he was the one who was hurting me. My daughter is such a daddy's girl. My boy is, well, at that time, the one is not even existing. But they have always done things together. I don't even remember a time when I took care of my daughter, even changing her diaper. It was always daddy, daddy, daddy. But then when crisis is there, even now, and we're in the same room, she'll run to me. Because she identified that daddy is the cause of problem. And you know, a child is not grown enough to know that crisis can come from anywhere. So in terms of crisis, in their head, or in her head, in the case of, in the case of my daughter, it's daddy's fault. And she'll actually even get so angry and not want to be touched by daddy because, no, you're making mommy cry. Even if it's death that has happened, no, you daddy caused that death. You need to tell mommy sorry because you're the problem. And now she's gotten to an age where she confronts. She actually tells the dad, no, you are doing this. Because she saw that for quite some time.
Okay. So now, let's just move on. How did you come to terms with, okay, you're sick, the medication and everything? Did he come and say sorry? And then you notice that this story is for real this time.
No.
And he's changed.
I sort of accepted my situation with the meds and all that. And my recovery journey has been one long one. So in 2021, in March, he got now the current job he's at. And it's not like he said, the problem of saying I have changed, but you've not been deliberate and radical, you will go and find yourself doing the same mistake. So again, so at this point in March, I had recovered. I was off my meds. Okay, they were tampered. Tampered is the sense that at some point I used to take 2 pills a day. Now I was taking 1 pill every 3 days. So it's like I was being weaned off the medication. And I'm feeling I'm at my level best. I have gone back to work. I am working with my brother, going for these rounds with my brother. I used to look forward to working with this guy, my bro, because atukosangi udaku, atakani ya plants, tutenda tukidakua about plants. So I was really at a good space in my life. My kids are now grown, because now the boys had already come. My kids are growing. We're in a happy place. And I wanted to protect this with everything there is. So after May, in May, must have been in May, mid-May, I was in my house, and this guy, before he called me, I sort of like got into a trance. And I was sort of talking to someone whom I couldn't see, and that someone is telling me, your husband is about to go on a date with someone. They just recently met, so nothing has happened, but they're just about to go on a date. I didn't even went to listen to the instructions, because that is how I would know what it is he used to do. I would go into these trances where I'm speaking, God is telling me this and this is going to happen. And actually, everything God would tell me is going to happen is what used to happen. I just didn't confront it. So this time round, it's happening all over again. And I did not wait for the instruction. I was done. You know, nimeambiwa he's going on a date. I am done. So he calls and tells me, actually he texted and tells me, we've been told we are working late. I didn't respond. So he calls and tells me that, hey, I'm going to be working late. I told him, okay, fine. Around 8, I texted him. I told him, I know you're on a date. But when you come home, I need us to talk, because I'm not doing this again. And I think that was the one time and the only time I've actually ever confronted him. I just told him, I'm not going to do this again. You know, God is a God of wonders. My brother lives in the river. We have never had a sleepover. The last time we had a sleepover was 2017 Christmas. And it's these Christmases that are planned. Otherwise, these are the times we just visit each other. So much that we have to give each other heads up. Kesho, tunakam. That day, for some reason, they just felt like they're bored. So they're coming for a sleepover in my house. They got to my house 15 minutes before he got home. And that day, I was done. I had made up my mind, come by, either he dies or I die, but either way, I'm leaving this house today. And it's 10. So they came. I said hi. I went to bed, angry that they have come, and they're ruining my plan. They're ruining my plan.
They've come without notice. And
they didn't even say, they didn't even call.
Literally, I was called kwa gate. Kwa gate, they're getting in. But I thank God for them, because if they hadn't come, I think it would have been very bad. So when he comes home, he was very guilty, because now he didn't have anything else to say. I have told him, I know you were on a date, but I'm done. So he comes, and he's like, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, I don't want to hear it. I'm done. Let's just sleep. And I actually slept very peacefully. So the following morning, I don't even think, did you sleep that night?
No.
So the following morning, I wake up. I told him I'm going to work. I wasn't going to work. I was actually going to look for a house. Because I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to give my mom or my dad a room to try and fix this. No. So I'm going to move out of the house into the same space. Mom wakisema wanakuja, I will just go. She never goes to the bedroom. As a matter of fact, the farthest place I'm entering dining area, so she won't know whether I'm in this house or not. We will play it however we'll play it, but I'm done. So that Saturday, now how things turned was after I have come back home, my sister noticed I'm not okay. So I just told her, give me space. One day, one time, I'll explain. They were about to leave, and we said goodbye. And the first words he came and told me is, please hear me out. I am sorry. I repeated to him again, dude, I'm done. He actually knows if I call him dude,
Yeah.
I am
You're done.
beyond
Or my
angry.
name.
Yes, if I say dude or Enoch, I am beyond angry. So at that time, I felt the presence of God in our house. And I don't know what it is that was happening to him, but to me, it was God who was actually asking me, how many times have I been patient with you? How many times have I forgiven you for the many wrongs that you have done? I want you to gather up courage and do the same. So sit and listen. You know, I would try and stand up, and then God actually tells me, sit. And then there is this huge light in front of me, so I can't even see where I'm walking. So I just have to sit and listen. And that was the beginning of change for us. Because, well, maybe he tells better on his end, in as much
So
as I
now
know what
she
happened.
She has listened to God.
Yes,
She's
and she
not
has
going. She has sat.
and now I begin to open up from back in 2015.
No, let me
Coming
ask.
back.
Even you, 2015
Yes.
to 2021.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
And you knew very well that she had been faithful
Yes.
on her side. Did-
Yes.
You see, the problem is, you feed something, it tends to grow.
Yeah.
That is the unfortunate bit about the devil. He's like this weed that grows.
Yeah.
And that's where you find if a man cheat once, unless he is smitten by God, he will always find excuses to cheat over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You see, so I told,
The whole story.
I opened up. I said,
And you were
actually,
crying.
my words
So
were,
you were crying.
yes.
Yeah.
She was crying. Don't look at that.
And my words were, if I lose, I lose. But
But you
maybe
have
I'm
to tell the
coming
truth.
clean from day one to the end. Everything you've ever suspected,
It is true.
whether it is true or wrong, at that point, and I put the record straight. And I put everything straight.
Yeah.
Now, someone may ask, previously I had come back and told, I'm sorry, what happened again?
Yeah.
What happened again? But the thing is, was I intentional
Yeah.
in whatever I was saying? Or was I just saying it? Imagine
sake
nilikuwa
of
na
it.
mwagilia moto
Yeah.
izime. Kwa sababu someone may say, a viewer out there may see this and say, mimi from step one ninge bounce. But what we are saying is this. A marriage could be broken right now,
Yeah.
but it is salvageable. Nothing. Remember this, it is godly.
Yeah.
Marriage is godly.
Yeah.
It is salvageable. And to salvage it, one needs to be very intentional, very radical and deliberate. I have said, I'm sorry, I will not do this. Now you are deliberate. If you are flirtatious, you deliberately stop being flirtatious. If every woman who would pass you would follow with your head, you're deliberately not doing it. You know what happens? It's like when you're studying a gym. Your muscles are weak, but ukiendelea every day,
You build.
una build strength na stamina, so you are able to, so inakuwa easy to do it.
Yeah.
And over time, you actually find whatever that was trying to pull you down, haiko completely.
Yeah.
And if it comes your way, you're able to walk away. So that day, nika apologize, na nika come clean, na nikawambia, babe, mimi nakwambia kila kitu. If you still choose to go,
It's fine.
it's all right. You go. But mimi, nimelana. So my turning point was I had lost everything. She had left. Actually, it's just that I back kila kitu. But she had left, and I had lost everything. She. I mean, it was that point. Life yangu ilikuwa dark that Saturday morning.
And so for you now, he's come clean and he said it. And I know it's so painful to hear the truth.
It
but
was.
did you gather up the courage to forgive him, or were you like, I still need to go?
No,
Either way.
actually, after he came clean, man, that whole weekend, it was the Spirit of God. Because without the Spirit of God, I wouldn't have been able to do anything. So when he came clean, I remember the words I told him were, it's okay, you're now free. And I shocked myself because I'm like, I'm supposed to be angry.
And shout at him.
Yes, or even hit him.
Yeah.
Why am I telling him he's not
I
pleased?
sort of knew where every throwable thing was.
So you were ready for
Yes, I was.
defense.
So after that, I just told him, give me time. I just went quiet. But it was at that moment where now I also started experiencing God. And I was now in this sort of state where I'm not myself, but then I'm not talking to my best friend. I'm actually reasoning out with God and telling him,
This is it.
ni mingi. Ai, ni hii hapana.
Hata kama ni wewe.
And God kept on reminding me this over and over again. How many times
Yeah, true.
have I forgiven you for the wrongs that you've done? Don't you think you also break my heart the way he has broken yours by doing me wrong? But I'm still merciful and I still forgive. So I'm like, okay, fine. But he promised he's going to give me grace to overcome it. So I didn't talk to him. I actually cooked. I said goodbye to the kids. They went to bed. And now we are left in the bedroom. Ilea, now what do we do? But for some reason, we found ourselves just praying. Him separately, me separately. Sunday came. It was very weird that morning because it's like you're still in this state where you're still experiencing God. And not from there, that Sunday morning I remember was when now God told us, forget the past. If you carry the burden of the past, songa now.
True.
Be like this new couple when mnakatiana. You've liked each other. Now start from there. Start rebuilding from there.
Yeah.
It's like you're starting your foundation. So we did. And every day was amazing. Every day was... I saw him in a new light. In a way I've never seen him. I started getting treated special. And it's not ile special and I'm fumba macho. Because he felt, he knew my worth. Because I felt so worthless for a very long time. And then now we involved a friend of his, let me say a family friend, and now this Pastor Godfrey, our dad. And when we involved Pastor Godfrey, he confirmed so many things. And then he kept on telling me, remember God told you, after 7 years, he'll redeem. Redemption has come. Redemption has come. But now the task was overcoming two things. Him overcoming the guilt and that life. Me overcoming the fear and the pain. And up to today, it has been a journey. I'm not going to lie that we are perfect. No, there are days like today morning, I didn't feel like talking to him. And when he asked what's up, I told him, you hurt me, so just give me space. Because there are those moments you look back and you're asking yourself, why am I still here?
Yeah.
You know, I get those moments.
Yeah.
And I have to remind myself, God promised. So I have to. And it's not I have to because God promised, but because I also want to see this work. It was then that God revealed a lot about society right now. We're living in a society where marriages are like just a piece of paper. People are just getting married for the sake of it. But cheating has become the norm.
Yeah.
It's like if this guy, and it has happened, he went to work and he was having a discussion and he actually said something about cheating and everybody was like, no, you mean you don't cheat? And he said, no, I used to. Now I don't because I know what I have. And he's like, nah, it's just a matter of time. And he came back and we were discussing and I'm like, Yani, he's gotten to that place where saying you don't cheat, karibu
Looks
upewe
like-
trophy. Because, man,
You're normal.
you know,
Yeah.
you're the greatest of all time. You don't cheat. And it's not just even in men. Even now, us in women, we are also doing it because if he's not faithful to me, I might as well also get the comfort I'm looking for out there. And God is now looking to restore the glory of marriages.
Wow. That is amazing. And yes, your story is such an amazing one. Thank you so much for your time. But just before we conclude that, maybe there is a woman out there who's going through probably the same thing of what you went through. Maybe they're in that dark space. Maybe they're also creating best friends in their head. So what would you tell them? And also for you, Enoch, what would you tell, a man who's cheating? Or maybe, with whatever form, emotionally or whatever. And maybe they're not giving their wives the value that they are supposed to be giving them, what would you also tell them? And is it possible for the both of you? Is it possible for a marriage to work after it's been cracked? Kindly just face it for us.
Well, it is very much possible for marriage to work after all the ups and downs. But I can tell you for sure, a marriage cannot work without God.
Yeah.
God has to be the center of marriage. He is the one who created the institute of marriage. And unless He's the center, it cannot work. Because it's either, in this life, I wish people would know the truth, it's either you're serving God or you're serving the devil.
Yeah.
It's just that.
Yeah.
And if you're not for God, then you're for the devil.
You can't be lukewarm.
You cannot be
Yeah,
lukewarm. So even the same in marriages, it's either your marriage is founded on God. And being founded on God means that this marriage is promoting God's work and it's also living a righteous life. It cannot be substandard. It has to be 100%. That is what we mean by godly marriages. And if your marriage at some point was not godly or ungodliness was involved, it's very much possible for God to restore godliness in it. But the foundation has to be God.
Yeah.
Number two, it doesn't matter how badly it was. The desire for you two to make it work, because it takes two to be married. I couldn't have made it work however much I wanted, because in as much as he would come and say sorry, his heart wasn't there. So bad it would still go back to the same thing. It takes two to be married. So as long as the two of you are willing to work for this marriage, then it's going to work. And one thing I promised myself, I'll always say to any woman who could be going through the same thing: you're important, you matter, and your mental health means the world more than even that marriage that you're fighting. Why am I saying this? Because at some point in my marriage, I tried being suicidal. It was the hand of God that held me. I look back and I'm like, had I died, where would my children be? You know? If it had gotten to a point it had been physical, had I been bruised or had I died because of physical abuse, where would I have left my children? Sometimes walking away may help. It's not that you're calling it quits, but you're actually going to be sane or to be healthy or to be radical so that you're able to work on this marriage from a sane point. So if you're in that situation where you feel, I have been through this and I'm getting tired, walk away. But you're walking away with the intention of, once I'm 100%, I'll come back and we'll fix it. As opposed to working on it when you're in the house. And right now, I was lucky. I never went through that. But I know of people who have been beaten, who have been abused, who have been in situations where suicide actually did happen. And maybe that person, had they walked away and gotten out of that toxic place, maybe they would have lived. So if you're in that space, both men and women, because we are now in a society where sio wanaume peke yake wanafanyia watu character development, hata sisi ladies, we are actually also doing that. So if you're there and you're in a very toxic environment, sometimes walking away helps. But then if you're willing to be reunited, God will always create a way for you to reunite.
Amazing.
Yeah, men out there. Number one, marriages are salvageable. That is for a fact. That is for a fact. Number two, it needs a man. How do I say this? It is more manly to accept your fault than to deny, hide, divert, and blame others when it comes to hurting your significant other. When we are looking at marriages being institutions, an institution that is ordained and established by God, the first thing that we need to realize is anything that I'm doing, it needs to come from a point of true to yourself. It needs to come from a point of faithfulness to your spouse. And it needs to come from a point of faithfulness to God. Now, for those three things to remain factual and relevant in somebody's life or in a marriage, they need to be done deliberately and radical. Deliberate means you're intentional. I am not going to do that. Maybe you have been an addict of something.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a pathological liar. Maybe you're addicted to substance. Maybe you're addicted to masturbation. Maybe you're addicted to prostitution. Whatever it is that you're addicted to, beside the professional help that is there, you need to be deliberate about it, very intentional. I am not going to look that way.
Yeah.
Radical. It means afadhali hatujiongeleshe kwa barabara as a madman. No, mimi ziangali huko, I have a better thing at home. I have a better woman at home. I have the best that there is.
Yeah.
No man ever settles for second grade. Never. At one point or another, that woman that they are frustrating right now was the best.
Yeah.
And when everything else, when the dust settles, she still remains the best. One way that for me has worked, that time that I used to spend on other people and other things, I spend that time on my woman here. I would wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. See, get into the bathroom or do texts to other women. Why don't you do that to your woman?
Yeah.
You get up in you on a matatu, you're going to work. The first thing you're doing is flirting with that other woman there or that other man, if it's a woman doing character development in this case. Why don't you take that time and use it on your woman or on your man? You go on social media. You're busy loving those women's stories and telling them how gorgeous they are and blowing them kisses. Why don't you do that to your woman?
Yeah.
Take that time that you're spending on someone else. And this is a true thing that works.
Yeah.
Kanisani, it is disastrous like that.
Yeah.
Kwanzia kama bishops, kuteremka chini mpaka kwa the worst people we consider the most in the society. It is happening. Someone is in the praise and worship, but they're doing this.
Yeah.
Someone is behind the camera, but they're doing this. Someone is a leading end, you're the head of a ministry, and they're doing that.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is this. You make a decision, you turn away from it, and God will hold your hand.
Wow.
There's a reason why the Holy Ghost is given to us as our helper, as our standby. You see, standby inamaanisha kukiwa na outage, kama ni generator standby, kukiwa na outage, inawaka.
Yeah.
So wakati your ability imefika mwisho, una pass out, the standby steps in.
Yeah.
But that only needs for us to be faithful to God, 100% with ourselves, and faithful to our spouses.
Wow,
That is the one thing that I can say to people out there that are doing character development and marriages, that thing. And then finally, yes, I had forgotten this. Hata kama marriage imekuwa on the rocks for 40 years, 50 years, no matter the time, it can be salvaged.
Yeah.
It can be saved. So maybe sio kaa yetu inaenda kuingia double digits. Maybe watu wengine na marriage zao zinaanza na 5 mbele. But the truth of the matter is this, that marriage can still be saved and work.
Thank you so much for that. And I pray that God will continue to hold your hand in marriage.
Yeah.
May it work and may it be beautiful.
Thank you.
Okay.
You have added, ladies and gentlemen, that is it, that you just have to be intentional with your spouse. Pray, of course, you have to start with God, continue with God, and end with God. Thank you so much also for tuning in and watching this episode. Thank you. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share this video. I have been your host, the Christ General. Sarah Mbogo is my name. Peace. Thank you.